They told her to play the violin as a joke, but when she did, the entire room fell silent. No one was laughing anymore. What happened next stunned everyone. Fifth period. Last row by the window. That was where Nia Forrester always sat, her battered violin case wedged carefully between her knees, as if it were something fragile, precious. She was the quiet one, the girl no one really noticed, until that day. "All right, folks," Mr. Buckley, the PE teacher in charge of the school's talent showcase, called out, half serious, half bored. "We're still looking for performers, singers, dancers, magicians, you name it." Miss Dorsey, the math teacher who never missed a chance to stir things up, smirked. She tilted her head toward Nia. "What about our little violinist over there?" she asked, her voice loud enough for the entire class to hear. Laughter rippled through the room. Not the friendly kind, the kind that made your stomach twist, the kind that dared you to prove them wrong. Buckley chuckled. "Yeah, Forrester, let's see what you got. You've been lugging that thing around all year. Might as well show us it actually works." The whispers started. Someone mimicked the screech of an off-key violin. Another joked about tortured cats. It was just teasing, right? Just a little fun at the quiet girl's expense. Nia's fingers tightened around the violin case. She didn't look up. Not yet. Then, in a voice so steady it almost didn't sound like hers, she said, "I'll do it." Silence. Total, stunned silence. Even Buckley blinked. "You serious?" She didn't answer. She didn't have to. She just took the clipboard and signed her name. Nia Forrester. Miss Dorsey laughed, but there was something uneasy in it now. She hadn't expected that. She'd expected Nia to shrink. She hadn't expected her to say yes. They didn't know who she was. Not really. They saw a quiet black girl who barely spoke, who carried a violin case like some weird accessory. They didn't know about the tiny apartment she shared with her mom and little brother, how she practiced with a towel under her door so the neighbors wouldn't complain, how that violin wasn't a hobby, it was her voice. At school, they rolled their eyes when she practiced during lunch. Teachers gave her polite smiles, but never asked about it. Not until now. Not until she became a joke. But Nia had been preparing for this moment long before they dared her into it. She had been working on something special, something raw, something real, a piece she had written herself. No name, just feeling. At home, she played until her fingers went numb. Her mom, Monica Forrester, would lean against the doorframe, shaking her head. "You sure about this?" she'd ask. Nia nodded. "I already said yes." Her mom sat beside her, picking up the frayed bow. "You don't have to prove anything to people who don't even see you. I'm not doing it for them." "Then who?" Nia thought about it. Her mother smiled and pressed a warm towel to her hands. Then do it right. At school, rumors spread. Bets were placed. Would she back out? Would she embarrass herself? Even the teachers whispered about it in the lounge. Miss Dorsey shook her head. "She's setting herself up. She'll fall apart." "Maybe she surprises you," said Mrs. Tran, the art teacher. Dorsey just scoffed. Friday arrived. The talent show. The gym was packed. Students, teachers, even parents started filing in. Performers took the stage. Singers, dancers, a kid who told knock-knock jokes. The crowd clapped politely. Some performances got real applause. Others were met with barely concealed snickers. Then they called her name. "Next up, Nia Forrester?" She stepped forward, violin in hand. No microphone, no words. Just her and the stage. Someone in the front row muttered, "She's gonna choke." Then, the first note hung in the air, barely there, like it was afraid to be heard. But she held it, let it bloom. By the fifth note, the gym was still, completely, impossibly still. It wasn't a song from TikTok. It wasn't some generic pretty melody. It was raw. It was something between a whisper and a wail, like pain finally allowed to speak. It surged, twisted, broke apart, and reassembled itself in a crescendo that made the air feel electric. She didn't need sheet music. The notes were in her fingers, in her bones. The sound was a story, a secret, a storm she had been holding inside for too long, and they felt it. Even Buckley, who had been scrolling through his phone moments before, sat up straighter. Even Miss Dorsey, arms crossed, had nothing to say. Phones lowered. People stopped whispering. They were listening. When she dragged out the final note, stretching it until it dissolved into silence, she let her violin fall against her chest, bow at her side. She didn't move. For a moment, nobody did. Then a single clap. And then the whole room erupted. No one was laughing now. Somewhere in the crowd, a kid who had placed a bet that she'd fail looked down at his phone, ashamed. Moik, the only person who had believed in her, was the first to stand. Then more, and then the whole room was on its feet. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She just stood there, violin still pressed to her heart, like a quiet storm that had finally broken free. Because for the first time, they saw her. What would you have done if you were Nia? Have you ever had to prove yourself to people who doubted you? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this. Because sometimes, the quietest voices have the most to say.